So, I'm going to be reading remarks written by Anna Deavere Smith, and starting with a short bio. Anna Deavere Smith is an actress, playwright, teacher, and author. Her most recent play and film, Notes from the Field, look at the vulnerability of youth, inequality, the criminal justice system, and contemporary activism. Looking at current events from multiple points of view, Smith's theater combines the journalistic technique of interviewing her subjects with the art of interpreting their words through performance. Smith co-stars on the new ABC Shonda Rhimes series For the People. She also appears on the hit ABC series Blackish, and previously starred as Gloria Akalitas, I don't know how to say that because I didn't watch it, but Showtime's Nurse Jackie, and the National Security Advisor on NBC's The West Wing. Smith is also a recipient of the MacArthur Genius Award. In 2012, President Obama awarded her with the National Endowment for the Humanities Medal. Smith is the founding director of the Institute of the Arts and Civic Dialogue at New York University, where she is also university professor at Tisch School of the Arts. And these are her remarks. In celebration of Dorinne Kondo's Worldmaking, Race, Performance, and the Work of Creativity. I have been in conversation with Dorinne for 25 years. I was very surprised when she agreed to join the creative team of my play, Twilight, Los Angeles. Los Angeles was reeling from a race riot, and it was a time when one could only say the wrong thing and be the wrong way. It is perhaps my life's work to do just that, to put myself in the position of saying the wrong thing and being the wrong way. I descend from fools, witches, priests, and priestesses, those who prayed and chanted and danced and sang. When I say I am a fool, it is not self-effacing at all. It's a real tradition, as I am sure those here assembled know. And yet to be the fool that I am, I must be accompanied by those who are not foolish at all. And so I saw in Dorinne one of the ones who know. The late theologian James Cone warned me, quote, "It's hard to talk to the ones who know," unquote. Now he's speaking from a Christian perspective, suggesting that the power of grace and redemption, which comes only to those who know that, quote, "You know what you're supposed to be," unquote. Perhaps we in the theater are willing to experiment with being other than ourselves because we know, deep down, that even when we critique the world that's not what it's supposed to be, we know that we as human individuals are, quote, not what we supposed to be. To be in the theater requires humility. Doreen comes backstage with knowledge, yes, but equally as important, with generosity and with humility, and a sense of humor. There's no laugh like hers. Doreen complicates what is simple, and then she simplifies her own complication. I'm assuming some of you have taken seminars. I did like 3 my first year, so I agree with all of that. She writes in Worldmaking that we in the theater make and unmake race. It's perhaps seriously foolish to tamper with a phenomenon so latent. She cites Ruth Wilson Gilmore in her overture, quote, "Racism specifically is the state-sanctioned or extra-legal production and exploitation of group-differentiated vulnerability to premature death," unquote. It's still palpable for me the early days of Doreen working with me. I always wondered why she was willing to be in the company of my foolishness. Well, she understood my intention, to intervene, to stand in front of that vulnerability to premature death and do the part that we in the theater can do about it, which is to say, stop, look, 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 listen. The emperor has no clothes, or all the clothes, and all the money, and all the guns, and all the schools, and all the possibility, and can make a lot of impossibility. I am very moved by what Doreen has done coming to backstage as an ethnographer, as good a one as Frederick Wiseman, and to make herself vulnerable on stage as a playwright, giving her words over to the voice and body of an actor, the eye of a director, the presence of an audience. In other words, to be willing not just to document foolishness and critique foolishness, but to become a fool too. The American theater has been historically notorious for its sloppy and sometimes cruel portrayals of non-Aryan whites. And if not cruel and sloppy, it has often turned an aggressively blind eye to the world. Now, we know just how absurd so many portrayals of daily life have been and remain to be, as if all around us in our cities, our buildings, even our homes, the only people standing are white people. One possible antidote would be to combat one homogeneous rendering with another. Write about yourself, your presumed world. The fact is, there's almost no place truly homogeneous anymore. And yet to venture beyond creating worlds that are other than homogeneous is to walk on a dangerous street. It's foolish to do so. So we must find new ways to navigate the representations of race and power and vulnerability and community and possibility. I sometimes think that Dorinne has greater respect and greater enthusiasm for the theater's potential as an intervention, as a remaking against that vulnerability to premature death than I do. Even as she is one of my toughest critics, I've invited her backstage, in the rehearsal hall, in my dressing room, sometimes looking quite wide-eyed at the possibility of failure, because she's eager to see, time after time, rehearsal after rehearsal. She's a rare, knowing individual, because I can't imagine that she'd ever say she'd seen it all, and that she'd seen it before, and that she's been there, done that. And when it comes to race, that's a place folks love to go. Been there, done that. Haven't we heard enough about that? On the contrary, racism is alive, very alive. And so there's so much we have not heard or seen. In art, the challenge is to play the tune we think we've heard already in a way that makes you think you are just beginning to hear it. Dorinne is an intellectual aristocrat. If there were a rehearsal, that is a lovely word. I think that's clear. If this were a rehearsal, she would tell me to cut that line. And then she'd have a lot of reasons why. There would be a real critique, real knowledge. It wouldn't just be humility. But I am saying it because this is not a rehearsal. I am proud to be in Dorinne's company. She'd probably tell me not to say that either, but this is not a rehearsal. It is a love letter, comrade to comrade. Dorinne has heightened my awareness of how death-making art can be. How death-making art can be, okay? And that's because she knows just how life-saving it can also be. What has been the most life-saving for me is the combination of her intellectual rigor and her kindness. And it was a pleasure and an honor to read both Anna Deavere Smith's words and in honor of my dissertation advisor.